दोस्तों, हर वीडियो इंग्लिश में होती है क्योंकि ISSB टेस्ट में इंग्लिश का बहुत बड़ा रोल होता है। इंटरव्यू, कमांड टास्क्स और साइकोलॉजिकल टेस्ट्स सब कुछ इंग्लिश में होता है। अगर आपको समझने में थोड़ी मुश्किल हो रही है तो सिंपल YouTube प्लेयर में सबटाइटल्स ऑन करो।
Next up, how to analyze the job description so you'll know what to expect in the interview. This will help you anticipate questions and tailor your responses for each different opportunity. Hopefully, you are already reviewing job descriptions before you apply, and definitely before you go in for an interview. However, many candidates don't take the time to truly examine the job description. They give it a quick scan and that's it. But a close analysis will tell you a lot about the kinds of questions that you're going to get and what the employer is looking for. If you go into interviews with a standard generic approach, you're going to come off as a generic candidate. Customizing your approach is key to standing out from the pack. So let's start with the basics. What is a job description? It's just a written description of the qualifications, duties, and responsibilities of a particular position. Some job descriptions are more detailed and useful than others. For example, sometimes you'll see desired competencies along with requirements. We're looking for someone who's a great communicator, who's calm under pressure, who's an innovator. You get the idea. Quick tip, if you're preparing for an interview and don't have a detailed job description, you're at a bit of a disadvantage, but all is not lost. First, work your network to see if you can find out anything more about the position. You can also try searching for job descriptions for similar roles at similar companies. This will give you something to work with in terms of anticipating likely questions. Even when you have a job description, it's important to read between the lines and conduct whatever additional research you need to do to prepare strategically for the interview. We have a 5-step process we're going to share with you to make analyzing job descriptions easier and more effective. Step 1, identify competencies. Review the job description closely and highlight all of the qualifications, duties, and desired competencies. Make special note of those that are mentioned more than once, perhaps in different ways. If the word communication is mentioned 5 times, that tells you it's a priority. Let's look at an example position. This is for Vice President of Marketing for a professional sports franchise. Which competencies should we highlight here? Well, marketing is obviously key. Marketing is a huge, broad topic, though. So what do we need to know about specifically for this marketing job? In this case, we see the phrase marketing ticket promotion programs featured very prominently. As a candidate, you know you want to highlight any experience directly related to that. And if you don't have the direct experience, be prepared to talk about similar experience to make your case. Another word that I highlighted is lead. So there's a leadership component to this job. Some other keywords and phrases here are manage, management skills, key day-to-day contact. So you're going to need to be great at relationship building and communication. On the qualification side, what are the important things they're looking for? Bachelor's degree, MBA a+, 7 years of experience in sports or entertainment marketing, and creative promotion programs. If your education isn't a match, you want to prepare to show that you're still qualified. Perhaps point to equivalent experience. You also want to be prepared for questions about your track record in successful promotion programs for ticket sales. Do you have the 7 years that they're looking for, or an equivalent? The key is to make sure you're prepared to talk about your fit in relation to any of the competencies listed in the job description, especially those featured prominently. And one last tip, the most important things in each section are going to be listed first. So the first few bullet points are the ones you want to pay most attention to. Step 2, identify themes. Looking at all of our highlighted text, what themes emerge? What seems to be most important to the hiring managers here? Here are some of the bullet points that stood out to me. Serving as a day-to-day contact with other departments, creating and presenting daily reports to senior management, overseeing outreach to team operations. What do all of these have in common? 1, communication skills. All of these require you to be able to communicate, whether it's with other departments, with senior management, or with team operations. There are also some other things that stand out to me. Manage and track the marketing budget. That's important and separate from the other themes we talked about. Budget management is a very specific skill. The idea is to read carefully for themes, paying particular attention to those featured prominently or multiple times. Now, step 3, identify your top selling points. You want to make note of your fit related to each theme. Some of these will be areas you're strong in, and you want to be prepared to really emphasize your fit. Other areas may be weaknesses for you. It's even more important to be prepared to talk about these. Let's start with getting clear on your strongest selling points for the position. To illustrate this step, I'm going to talk about a fictional candidate for the sample job description. This is John T. John T would love to land this job as VP of Marketing for the sports franchise. It's a dream job for him. But what does he bring to the table? Well, John has 8 years of experience in marketing for major entertainment companies. They did say sports or entertainment marketing, right? So that's pretty good. It's more than the required amount of experience. He also has a proven track record of increasing ticket sales. He has a recent promotion last year that he can talk about. John T also has relationship building and communication skills. How can he prove it? He has a strong performance review. He's won awards internally, and he has, in the past, had to make monthly presentations to the CEO. That's going to serve him well in a job that requires presenting to senior management. So John T has a lot going for him that should position him pretty well for the job. For each opportunity that you pursue, you will have top selling points. Those may be very similar from position to position, but there will also be some variation. The job description helps you see which strengths and experience to emphasize to make the best possible impression in the limited time that you will have. Our lesson on talking about strengths will help you articulate those selling points in a compelling way. Step 4, identify gaps or issues. Okay, so John T seems pretty well qualified, but nobody's perfect, which brings us to step 4, which is to identify gaps or issues. What are some weaknesses you want to reframe for the interviewer? Yes, we want to focus on the positive, but there are a lot of qualified people out there. The interview process is about narrowing it down to find the perfect person for the job. Part of the process of elimination is looking for red flags or potential areas of weakness. So what could they potentially perceive as negative about you? Or just areas in which another candidate could be stronger? It's important to go through the process of honestly, candidly identifying your weaknesses, or what could be perceived as weaknesses by others. You may not agree that you need an MBA for this position, for example, or exactly 8 years of experience, but you have to think from the perspective of the interviewer and be prepared to proactively address and ideally reframe potential weaknesses if they come up. Based on your analysis of the job description, jot down any potential issues and some notes about how you think you could counter any concerns and persuade the interviewers that you are more than qualified to do the job. To illustrate, let's go back to John T. On the plus side, he does have 8 years of ticket marketing experience, but only 3 years of that was for a sports organization. And this sports-specific experience was 2 years ago. His most recent job is not sports marketing, but entertainment marketing. It's related, but not exactly the same. You can bet that a smart interviewer will ask John T about why he left sports marketing for his current job, whether he's kept up with sports marketing trends, whether he's got enough current knowledge for the job. He might be going up against somebody who has more years on the sports marketing side and is currently working in the field. What else? John doesn't have a ton of experience with budget management, so he really needs to think about how to position the experience that he does have, as well as his knowledge and potential, in a way that shows he'll be able to manage that budget effectively. Finally, John does not have an MBA. Now, you may recall that the job description said MBA was a plus, so not required. However, you can bet there will be some candidates that have MBAs. So John needs to be prepared to position himself and his hands-on experience and any other training and education he has to show why he's as qualified as any MBA. Step 5, anticipate questions. In step 5, you're ready to anticipate the questions that you're most likely to get in the interview. Now, of course, it's impossible to predict every question word for word, but if you've done your homework, you can have a pretty good idea of what the interviewer might ask in any given interview. That homework includes understanding the most common types of questions asked, and our other lessons will take you through those in detail. There's a set of core questions that get asked in the majority of interviews out there. Tell me about yourself. Why are you looking for a new opportunity? And so on. Your job description analysis will enable you to pinpoint the most likely additional questions based on the particular opportunity and your unique background. Many of these will be behavioral questions about key competencies. Behavioral questions are those that start with, tell me about a time, give me an example, or similar. We have a whole lesson about behavioral questions and how to prepare for them. You can master those, don't worry. But analyzing the job description will help you determine which types of behavioral questions to prepare for. There are thousands of them, but you will probably only get a couple in any one interview, and they are almost always predictable based on the job description. So back to good old John T. Based on what you remember about the job description, what do you think are some of the questions that he's likely to get in his interview. Here are some that we think should be on his list. These are specific questions related to this position and John T's fit. First, tell me about one of your successful ticket promotion campaigns. This is a behavioral question that John T should welcome because we know he has good experience in this area. So he should be preparing his best stories about ticket promotion campaigns and making sure that they're really compelling. Another question, share an example of your leadership skills. We know they want someone who can lead. So how can John T show that he's a leader? He needs to prepare some stories about his leadership skills. Another question, walk me through your budget management experience. We know this is a weakness for John T. If I'm the interviewer, I'm definitely going to probe here. So he needs to be prepared to help me see why this isn't an issue. And finally, why did you leave your sports marketing role? As the interviewer, I'm wondering why you would leave sports marketing if that's what you really want to do. Could he be hiding something? Maybe he was fired, or maybe he's just flaky. This list is not meant to be comprehensive. There are certainly other questions that John T would be smart to prepare for, but I think you get a good idea. Okay, that's the 5 steps. Now you have all of the information you need to apply this process to your own job descriptions and prepare more strategically for your next interview.